Well, hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another Tom Talk Live. This is really more or less a test. I have a friend of mine who decided to help me out, and I'm going to be doing an interview tomorrow with a friend of mine. And I was trying to get it all figured out, but I can't do that alone. So I put out the call, and my friend Chris was willing to come on camera with me and try this out. So we already spent a little bit of time kind of behind the scenes figuring it out. And I think we have it mostly together, but we're going to find out now. So without further ado, welcome my good friend Chris Thompson to the live stream. Chris, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you again for joining me and for being willing to do this. I know it's a little different than things I've done before with my other live streams, but I've kind of wanted to incorporate this idea of like bringing people on and interviewing them and kind of talking about things that they're passionate about, essentially. But of course, in order to do that, I have to be able to figure out the tech side of it. So you're kind of helping me out with that. So I appreciate that.
Glad to help you out.
Yeah, thank you. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel that you've been doing. How long have you been doing your YouTube for?
I've I guess you could say it's been about 2 3 years now.
Okay,
I
wow.
really I really haven't done a lot like up until that point, because everybody gets a YouTube channel.
Right.
They start an account, but
Right.
nobody, depending on what you want to do with it, you don't really put anything out there.
Right. So you've been putting out content for about 3 years?
Yeah, up 2 to 3 years now.
Okay. Nice. And how many videos have you put up so far?
Oh, I I've lost track at this point. It's over. I think I made a post not too long ago. It was over 100 though.
Okay, nice. That's a lot of content. I think I'm at like 6 or something like that. So I got a ways to go with mine. I've been doing kind of this weird hybrid thing where I'll do live streams to Facebook here and then also to my YouTube channel. And I'm trying to figure out like, do I want them all going to YouTube as well, or am I just saving that for certain ones? Because some of it's just like you've seen some of my streams where I'm just talking about like whatever, random things come to mind. And I'm not necessarily wanting that to be on the YouTube channel, so that one I'm kind of just keeping that for Facebook for now. But yeah, have your I wanted to share your channel just in case anybody is interested. So this is you, MTG Ghoul Dude. So what is your channel about?
So I am in a niche. Me personally, I like to, delve into the past of histories of different tribes or kindred types creatures. It's a Magic the Gathering channel.
Hmm.
Magic the Gathering is a collectible card game, collectible trading card game for those that don't know. But yeah, it's just something, and I've done so many different other topics, and it's just something that I really like doing, and it's fun for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, obviously, Magic the Gathering, that's how we know each other in the first place. And so like on
Yep.
my, I'm sure some of my viewers here on Facebook, I have friends from kind of different areas of life, friends from college, friends from work, friends from Magic the Gathering. Now I have friends through the coaching stuff that I've been doing. So some of them might be unfamiliar with what Magic the Gathering is. But to me, it was kind of an important part of me kind of being able to make more friends, kind of get more social, because we moved to Tennessee and like I didn't know anybody here, right? So like we had our church members and that was it. And so it was kind of difficult to really like branch out and meet new people. And Magic the Gathering was one of the ways that I was able to do that. Um, and so yeah, I met you. I met a lot of other folks that I've become pretty good friends with. So, but yeah, I've enjoyed watching your content. I did set a one of the bell notifications because I realized that like I wasn't seeing your content pop up on my channel. So when I would scroll through, I wouldn't see your stuff. And I'm like, I think he's still posting. And I would go to your channel and see like all kinds of new stuff. I'm like, man. So what is, let's go over to your channel now, actually. So this is your channel. What is your favorite kind of content to make for this?
So I think my favorite kind of content is the ones that I like doing deck techs. I like doing uh the digging up the past series is the thing that actually started me out the farthest back. And I've kept up to track with the zombies because that's my thing. But I also have done like the dragon tribe, the elf tribe. Well, oh, I've done a lot of different tribes in Magic. That's something that I like doing. It gets me, focused in on one thing, and I just really delve deep on it.
Okay. So what is a deck tech for those that don't know?
A deck tech is just a generalization of a description of a deck and then a pretty much just laying out of the cards in the deck and the purposes of the cards and for a Magic the Gathering deck.
Mm, right. So you kind of go through each kind of. I feel like I've seen you do them. So I think like you kind of do them in sections. Like you'll talk about kind of the different functions of the deck and the different pieces that go with it.
Oh yeah, it could. I usually try to break it down into four categories: uh, mana, acceleration, the main theme of a deck if I'm going for a theme or the main body of the deck, card advantage and interaction, and then it's the land base. I usually try to keep those centered, and whatever cards just happen to mingle and mix, I try to keep those organized that way too.
Okay. Cool. So you said digging up the past. What does that mean exactly? Like, what are you
So
kind of going to old cards, or what do you mean?
for the purpose of starting with that playlist particularly, I went all the way back to the beginning of Alpha. So like for the original playlist, which is zombies, I started with Alpha and then I moved all the way forward to, and I keep it up to current date of the zombies that we have in Magic the Gathering being printed now.
Oh wow, that seems like a lot, a lot of cards to cover. So do you?
Well, once you break it down into their niche, like zombies, it's a lot easier to do once it's like broken down to
Mm,
individuals.
gotcha. Okay. And have you like have any videos that have like, had a lot of views that you feel like have been more popular? Have you noticed?
The it's usually the shiny thing of the week. To be honest, it's really hard for somebody like me. It's smaller to try and keep up with a lot of different views from a lot of the and it's. But I do have a few. One of them is the Will Help deck tech that I've done. I've revamped it multiple times probably,
Mm,
and but yeah, that's probably one of the more popular ones.
okay. Cool. And then do you do, I know like with YouTube, which I'm kind of just getting into that now. Like I've posted like random videos, but I've never tried to like build a channel and grow it and stuff. So what would your advice be on kind of starting out and trying to grow a channel?
I would say, just really it's about keeping people interested, keeping the retention going. A buddy of mine at the place where I work at, he was talking today about keeping retention beats, which is like cutaways or things that keep people interested within every few seconds. You're doing something different, you're keeping their attention, you're popping back and forth,
Mm,
something to keep their focus on, like on their phone watching it.
I gotcha. That seems like it would take a lot to plan all that out, where you're just having to like
Yeah,
constantly make cuts and changes and all that.
yeah, and he was like, yeah, it's very hard to do because once you got to figure out the rhythm of when you want to cycle those in to keep it from, oh well, if it's every 30 seconds people start dropping off.
Mm, gosh. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that for my stuff. Because for most of mine anyway, it's just kind of been talking, right? It's just me talking to to the camera. So I'm trying to think of like what I could do that would make it interesting. Like, do you have any suggestions for that? Like what could be a change that I could make that might keep people interested?
So what he was talking about, and I have horrible retention beat, progression. I'm recording the video, and once the video's done, I'm done with it. He suggested uh changing the view, so like you're right now we're it's just us two talking.
Mhm.
He would So if the conversation went to a recorded video, it would go like, all right, we were talking about deck text. He would flash a picture to a deck tech,
Mm.
something to keep it, oh well, he just changed it, what is it, what's on the screen,
Right, right,
or like some kind of fancy transition scene, stuff like that.
right, right. So like if I pulled over to your YouTube and let's see. Okay, so if I was doing this and then
Yeah, like that is a retention beat. What is he, it's a change of just a static position.
right. So I have one of your videos playing, and so this is kind of what you were talking about with the deck tech, where you're kind of going through each card, explaining what that card does and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I like how you do that. I feel like it works pretty well that way. It's not, you're just constantly moving cards around. You're just kind of dropping one in at a time. That makes it really easy.
Well, I will say I'm not the originator of that particular style.
Mm.
I actually have to give a large amount of credit to Brian Canada from Cure for the Common Game for that, because he's the one that kind of started me on that trend, and I just haven't found anything better.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense though, right? It makes sense to kind of have that kind of constant
Oh, you
uh,
got to add.
camera angle. Don't worry, I took it off. Need to see ads for lawnmowers. And then let's see, I was looking out what other kind of content you have. So it looks like you do have some shorts on there.
I got into a trend of doing some shorts here and there. Uh, it's Some of them are proxy related with the pop the proxies. They're me doing a showcase of like two or three copies of a card. One of them is a proxy, and it would be, kind of like the viewer to see if they could guess which one is actually the proxy.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And then you have, let's see, some lives here, looks like.
Yeah, just a lot of just testing out stuff, trying to spend some time on YouTube.
And then you also play, looks like you play online, Arena.
Yeah, I do try to do my dailies if I can, to try and keep up with, the program and whatnot.
And then tell me about the podcast section over here.
As the podcast for me is just me, pretty much just me, old man yelling at the sky, pretty much.
All right. So you got 9 episodes on there, though.
Yeah, I'm working it in. It's just, finding the stuff to talk about.
Bajuka Bog Radio. I like it. It's a good title. So, like, what do you mean? What do you talk about exactly on there? Like, obviously MTG related. Sounds like.
Yeah, MTG news, stuff that, just the little conspiracy theories that I come up with, like the paradox of a pack. Just the goings on of, stuff gets printed, what got banned, my opinions on it, stuff like that mostly.
Okay. Yeah, it does remind me of the podcast that we almost started. I guess technically we started it, we just never published it. And I really wish we had been able to keep up with that. Why didn't we keep that going? Like, what happened?
I do believe it was just time constraints. Everybody was doing
Yeah.
different things.
Because yeah, we did the one episode, and then I think Michael just got busy. I think he got a job or something happened where he wasn't really available anymore.
Yeah, that we ended up just not being able to settle on the time, and the place was fine, just with just the time.
Right. Well, I still have our one and only episode. So if we ever decide to pick it back up, we'll have a starting point. And I'd even made, like, I spent time developing like a whole like intro, sound, music, like a whole thing to go along with it. So, I mean, it could have been pretty cool, but unfortunately, some things weren't meant to be. But yeah, we should maybe look into doing something like that. I'd be interested in doing a podcast. That might be fun.
That sounds good to me. I'd really appreciate a second old man to ramble about Magic the Gathering with.
Right, right. And honestly, I haven't really been keeping up with the new stuff either. You mentioned before about like not keeping up on the latest, which, man, it's so tough. Like I was doing pretty good for a while there, where pretty much like every set coming out, I was getting, a good, at least a box
Hmm.
of it. And then I felt like they were releasing so much product that I'm just like, I can't afford this. Like it's just too much to try to keep up with. So I just kind of stopped. And then I would, every now and then I'll look and see like, okay, what's like some of the best stuff that came out. And I'll just kind of maybe pick up a few pieces here and there, just, single cards, because like it just got to be too much.
Yeah, product fatigue is a real thing right now, especially with Magic the Gathering.
Right.
I have not picked up anything from the latest set that released. I still haven't seen the full set as it's been released. I think the last thing that I really fully looked into was uh the Aether Drift set that just came out before this one.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I looked at some of that and when I saw the zombie precon, I'm like, Chris is going to like this. There's
Yep.
a lot of zombie, support
If it's
in
got
this set.
zombies in it, I'm definitely going to be heavily interested in it.
Did you feel like the new zombie set, that precon, like did that shake up, the best kind of zombie support? Like is that significantly changing what you're putting in your decks?
I feel like as I look more if on the deck side, I feel like I'm looking more towards other creators and with what they're doing and seeing how what they're saying and me taking it and then adapting it to how I play
Mm,
more than okay, the deck comes like this right out the box.
right.
But I will say this, if you're looking to get into Magic the Gathering right now, it's probably a better time to get into it, especially with the availability of product
Mm,
and the different I guess you could say the different how it's tailored to a bunch of different people
mm. Okay.
right
What's your
now.
take on the kind of the inclusion of other intellectual properties into Magic the Gathering with the Universes Beyond sets?
So I may be biased due to the fact that one of these universes beyond sets was actually an Assassin's Creed based product, and I was heavily invested into that set.
Mm,
Um, I feel like it is a way to branch out to invite other people the into the game in a way, but at the same time, it's there that you have your people that are they're used to this is the way it's always been. This is the way it needs to stay, and it's unfortunate that we have those crowds clashing.
mm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely kind of see it from both sides. Like for me, yeah, like there's certain sets and certain, intellectual property that they've brought in that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I like that. That's kind of cool that they're, kind of bringing these in. And then there's some of them I'm just like, really? Like, do we need to have Marvel as part of the Magic the Gathering universe? Like, has it not taken up enough
Mm.
of our cultural space where now it has to be a part of this too? You know? But I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. Like I think there is like a certain amount of exposure that it brings, like kind of new audiences and interest to the game. But yeah, also I definitely understand the side that's like more like this used to be. kind of our thing. Why is it now? Why are they pulling in all these other, you know, ideas, all these other intellectual properties and stuff? So I kind of see both sides, but I don't know. They're gonna
Well, I will
sell
say
cards.
this to be fair in that aspect of bringing in other properties into our game. I would have not realized that I actually enjoyed the lore of Warhammer 40,000
Mm,
if we did not get a tie-in
yeah,
with Magic the Gathering.
yeah, I agree with that one for sure. That was a pretty cool set. And yeah, same with me. Like I didn't really know anything about that game, so to like get some exposure to it. But I feel like at least that was kind of a universe that was also kind of its own little niche thing that not many people knew about. So it was like still interesting. And then even the Dungeons and Dragons sets, which to me that's not even like really that big of a leap since they're both, Wizards of the Coast properties.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty much the same thing. It's just putting the tropes on cardboard at
Right.
that point instead of in a book.
Right, right. But yeah, then when they're bringing in Marvel and they're bringing in Transformers and they're bringing in Stranger Things and just like all these like super popular, well-known, you know, entities, it just kind of made it a little weird to me anyway. So, but it is what it is. I guess they started that when they did Walking Dead way back, you know, whenever Walking Dead
Well,
cards came out.
well, I will say this: they are doing their not best, but they're trying to integrate those cards into Magic IP cards. So, Rick Steadfast Leader, as the card is known as, has a Magic the Gathering counterpart.
Mm,
It's a little bit. It's just as expensive as the original card, but it still maintains two different. It has two different versions. That way, if you want to play this outside of Magic the Gathering IP, you're more than welcome to play it.
mm,
But if you want to stay within the universe, you also have that option,
yeah.
and that's something that I do like that they are actually doing.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that with some of them. Yeah, you could get kind of like the magic version of it where it's the same card, but yeah, kind of more of a lore friendly version, I guess. So, oh well. Lots of things to consider. Lots of things to talk about if we wanted to do a future podcast on Magic the Gathering. It's pretty much what this would be like. So, I'm sure many of my friends that are watching this right now are confused and don't know what we're talking about, but that's okay. So outside of the realm of Magic the Gathering, what are your other interests, Chris?
I do like to collect, books, a few comics here and there. I've collected so many different types of books. I'm looking at some now that I haven't even read yet.
Like what
I
kind?
do enjoy working out
Hmm.
just 5 days a week right now because of the way the work schedule is, but that's just something that I enjoy for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, tell me more about your books. What kind of books are you talking about?
I'm into the young adult fantasy, I guess you can say.
Hmm.
Just a wide range of titles.
Okay. Any favorites?
Uh, the the Secrets of Nicholas Flamel is the one that always brings me some joy whenever I look at the the bindings on my shelf over there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with those. Have to check them out.
It's a 6 book series.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
read most of them like 2 or 3 years ago. Well, longer than that now, about 4 or 5 years ago. Most of them at work at my last job.
Right. What kind of literature is it?
It's young adult fantasy, so
Fantasy.
it's just about mostly fantasy that I pick up.
Okay. I need to get back to reading, honestly. Like I used to read all the time, and now really I feel like the only thing that I get to read is like nonfiction, like more like academic books and stuff that I'm reading for content. But There is one. Actually, there's like three different books that I started and just like, I don't know if you're like me, where you kind of start something and then you put it down, and then you start something different and then put it down. Maybe you're focused and get through the book that's in front of you, but I tend to have like two or three that are going at the same time. Do you ever
I'd usually try to just like
focus
stick
on
to
one?
one, because if I, yeah, I usually, but I will tell you this: if it when it deviates when it comes to visual media, because I can watch like 4 or 5 different shows at once and know exactly where I'm at.
Mm, yeah. And I think that's kind of where I get that from too, because I'm the same way, where I'll have different shows kind of going on. And my wife can't stand it because she, like, I'll watch like, yeah, 15 minutes of a show and then I'll stop and then I'll go do something else and then I'll pick up that show later and then just do like 20 more minutes of it, and just kind of do it piecemeal like that. Where she likes to be able to have time to sit down and like watch the whole show uninterrupted. But for me,
Mm.
it's kind of like just a little bite. That's fine. So, one other thing that I appreciate about you, Chris, is whenever we are getting kind of severe weather, you're always our watchman, staying vigilant, keeping us informed. And so, tell us a little bit about that. Where does that kind of come from?
So the biggest part of that actually started in 2023, when not too long ago, that's 2 years ago, Covington was hit by a extremely dangerous tornado, and I was none the wiser to it until it
Mm,
had started affecting me and the people in my life. And after that point, I had started watching different content creators on YouTube. I had started looking into radars and I started, talking to people that already knew a lot about the weather, that that really helped me to learn more about it. And I just prefer to make sure that if I'm going through, or I have the knowledge of something, I don't want to be the only one with the knowledge.
mm,
And I would much rather more people be safe than to just, well, okay, well, I'm the only one that matters to me, so I'm gonna be safe, even though I have the ability to put that information out there for others.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely appreciate that for one. I'm sure there's many others that do as well. Um, yeah, being kind of a non-Tennessee native, so I came up here from Florida, and in Florida we don't really have tornadoes. We have hurricanes, of course, that come through and are kind of their own animal as far as like preparation and getting ready for them. The nice thing about hurricanes is you kind of know they're coming for a while, like usually weeks ahead. Like they kind of start tracking it and giving you an idea of where it's going. And it can, change direction stuff. But coming to Tennessee, it was like, yeah, just out of nowhere, these storms would pop up, and they'll give you like a couple of days, like, hey, this is coming. But then you never know if it's going to be really bad where you're at or if it's going to be fine. And we've been fortunate here. I'm in Crockett County. We've been fortunate here where we really haven't gotten anything too extreme. But I know it's been here before because the church that I'm at was rebuilt because it was destroyed back in 1940 from a tornado, right? So they've definitely come
Mm.
through here, and the locals here tell me stories about, there's one story of a guy who was, this was several years back, and a tornado was coming. He was watching it come out of his front door, and the tornado come and like knocked him down. And then when he got back up, he was looking out the door, and all of a sudden he said, "How did the tornado picked up the highway and put it in our backyard? Didn't realize that it actually picked up the whole house and rotated it and set it back down." Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's the story that they would
Wow.
tell. But I mean, I've definitely heard some crazy stuff of tornadoes doing things. And so yeah, that's something we've had to get used to being here in Tennessee. Do you guys have a shelter you go to or anything like that?
Yes. My significant other, their family has a personal storm shelter,
Mm,
and that's where we usually rally up in to make sure that we're safe and accounted for.
Mm, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we don't have one like right here. One of the guys in our church has like he built one out of one of those shipping containers, you know, those gigantic shipping containers. He was able to anchor that into the ground and covered it with cement and then dirt and put a door on it. So like pretty much it's open to anybody in the community. We went there this past week, you know, with all these storms coming through, and that thing was filled up. There was like 15 of us in that shipping container
Man,
waiting for the tornado to pass. And thankfully, like I said, it was kind of missed us. It went around us. So both to the north and to the south, folks got hit, but we were okay here. I think one did touch down nearby, but I think it only destroyed a couple buildings like barns and stuff. Nothing too significant. So, but I know some people like down in Selmer, there was some serious damage, loss of life, and yeah, so definitely hearts go out to those folks. And now we got the flooding.
and
Have you guys been affected
yeah,
by
the
that?
flooding in Dyersburg is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's really crazy. Like I think 412 is shut down. Several other roads to that area are shut down. They had to evacuate. I was watching people getting taken out on boats from South
I
Dyersburg.
believe Dyer County is actually under an evacuation
Mm, wow, like the whole
due to
county.
the flooding. I do believe it's certain places wherever the flooding is the worst
Wow,
that the irrigation cannot get the water out fast enough.
it's crazy. And then we're supposed to get more rain coming in end of the week, aren't we? I think I saw that.
Uh, I haven't seen anything about it, so for me to know if it's coming in, it's got to be severe enough for me to look at it.
Mm,
Usually, if it's supposed to just rain for a couple days, then I'm really not too interested.
right, right. Yeah. I mean, I've only just, you know, I'll see stuff that pops up. I follow, you know, Joel Barnes and different meteorologist, weather guys on Facebook. So that's usually where I'll see it first. Like it'll kind of pop up there. So, but then you never know what's a real threat and what's not. So you kind of have to wait and see. But well, was there anything else you wanted
Take the
to
point pretty much.
bring up, Chris, while we're here?
No, I think it was a pretty good little session right here.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time to try this out. I feel like it worked pretty well. I didn't really see any like hiccups along the way. I feel like it worked out decently. So appreciate that. I'll have to
It's
have
no
you on
problem.
again sometime. Come
I'll
up
be
with something
glad to
else.
do it.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to go ahead and log us out. But thank you again. I really appreciate you stopping by and doing this with me. So thank you very much.
You're always welcome.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And feel free to leave some feedback. And I will see you tomorrow night. I'm going to be interviewing a friend of mine, Sharon Camus. So she's going to have some stories to tell. So tune in tomorrow night, and we'll be going live around, well, what time did we say? Let me look. I don't remember. 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock tomorrow, we'll be going live with Sharon Camus. You guys have a good one.